Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are exposing the biggest botanical scam of our generation. Admit it, who hasn't finished their morning avocado toast, looked at the pit and thought, why not? I'm basically a master gardener. We stab it with toothpicks and, miracle of miracles, it roots. For the first few months, it grows like it's on steroids, giving you a rock-solid, yet entirely false sense of agricultural genius. But then comes the reckoning. Why do 90% of these indoor pets tragically die in their first year? Oh, the indoor avocado is the ultimate drama queen. Just when you start shopping for a cute planter, the seedling commits botanical suicide. The reason is simple. Your apartment is not a Mexican rainforest. In the winter, your central heating blasts like an industrial hairdryer, turning your room into the Mojave Desert. Seeing the drooping leaves, you panic and drown the poor thing, turning the pot into a toxic swamp. Avocado roots can't swim. They suffocate, rot, and turn into mush. The plant looks at this flood, sighs heavily, turns its leaf tips a crispy black, and dramatically drops them all over your rug. Today, I'm going to show you how to save your avocado from yourself, how to prune it so it doesn't look like a bald fishing pole, and answer the ultimate question: will you ever get enough fruit for a Super Bowl party? Let's get into it. Let's move to the selection stage. Imagine you're holding a casting call for an elite modeling agency. You wouldn't just take the first person who walks in, right? Same goes for avocados. It all starts at the grocery store. If you buy a rock-hard, bright green avocado that you could use to fend off muggers in a dark alley, forget about sprouting it. The seed inside is still in a deep botanical coma. The fruit needs to be ripe and slightly yielding to the touch. Ideally, grab a Hass avocado, those dark, bumpy ones. Their pits sprout with the enthusiasm of a college freshman on spring break. The Hunger Games rule. Never, ever try to sprout just one pit. That's incredibly naive. Avocados are unpredictable. One pit will be a dud. The second will cover itself in depression-induced mold, and only the third will happily push out a root. So, plant 3 to 5 at once. The strongest champion survives, and the losers just free up space on your windowsill. To peel or not to peel? Yes, peel it. If you leave the brown skin on, there is a 90% chance you'll grow a fuzzy sweater of mold right in your water glass. In the wild, this skin protects the seed, but in the cozy greenhouse of your kitchen, it rots incredibly fast. Carefully get under it with a knife and peel it off like a hard-boiled egg. Without this armor, the pit will sprout much faster because it won't waste energy trying to break through. Immediate disqualifications. 2 categories go straight to the trash without the right to an appeal. Knife victims. If you aggressively hacked into the avocado and sliced the top of the pit, or worse, chopped off its bottom, the patient is dead. Rotten inside. If, after peeling, you see deep black spots, a mushy texture, or hollow gaps, no miracle is coming. CPR won't save it. So, our perfect peeled pits pass the casting call and are ready for a new life. Now we face a philosophical question. Do we play Dr. Frankenstein with beakers, or do we trust Mother Nature? Method 1. The toothpick torture chamber. The Frankenstein method. This is an absolute classic that makes everyone feel like a master bioengineer in their own kitchen. The gist is simple. We take our pit and perform an intense session of botanical acupuncture, stabbing it with 3 or 4 toothpicks so it can rest on the rim of a glass. But this is where beginners make a fatal flaw. If you look closely at the pit, you'll see faint vertical lines, the seams. Stabbing a toothpick directly into these seams is strictly forbidden. When the seed starts to sprout, it needs to split exactly along these lines to release the shoot. Stab a toothpick into the seam, and the pit will crack out of sheer resentment prematurely, letting water and rot inside. Poke it carefully, at an angle, strictly between the seams. Next, figure out where its head and feet are. The golden rule: the flat, wider bottom always goes down into the water. The pointy top looks up at the ceiling. Place this spiky contraption on a glass, fill it with water so exactly the bottom third is submerged, and wait for a miracle. Just remember to change the water regularly so it doesn't turn into a swampy sludge. Method 2. Straight into the soil. nature for the lazy. This method is perfect if you don't want to play Legos with glasses and sticks. Take a small pot with loose soil, definitely add a draining agent, and just stick the pit in. Again, flat side down. The main rule here? Only bury it 2/3 of the way deep. The pointy top must proudly stick out of the dirt. Water it and cover it with a clear plastic cup or a Ziploc bag to create a humid greenhouse. The showdown. Which is better? The toothpick method is a premier indoor reality show. You see the progress every day. The bottom swells, a thick white root bursts out, twists, and reaches for the bottom. It's beautiful and incredibly satisfying. But the huge downside is that the water often gets cloudy, algae blooms, and the pit can just rot away if you forget its weekly bath time. Plus, when transplanting it to dirt, there's a high risk of snapping that fragile root. The soil method is much safer and more natural. No shock from transitioning from water to dirt. And avocado roots are as fragile as a millennial's psyche on a Monday morning. But the main drawback? You miss the entire show. You just stare at a pot of dirt for weeks, agonizing over whether it's alive or has already crossed over to the great botanical beyond. It happened. You wake up one morning, look in your glass, and a thick white root has breached the pit and is diving for the bottom. You feel like a wildly proud parent, but the logical question arises. When do we process the eviction notice and move it to a real dirt apartment? Timing. Don't wait for Gandalf's beard. The biggest mistake is leaving the pit in water too long. People wait until the root coils tightly at the bottom and grows a massive, wizard-like beard of tiny roots. Don't do that. Once the main taproot is about an inch or two long and a shoot is confidently pushing out the top, it's time to pack its bags. Avocado roots are incredibly brittle. If you try to transplant a massive, tangled root system, you are 100% going to snap the tips, and the plant will throw a massive tantrum and stop growing. Soil. Breathe, breathe, and breathe again. In the wild, avocados live in loose, highly draining soil. If you just dig up some dirt from your backyard or buy the cheapest, heavy potting soil, your pet will suffocate. We need a mix where creating a swamp is physically impossible. Get a good all-purpose potting mix, and generously, I mean dump it in there. Add perlite. Perlite is your best friend. Aim for about 30% of the total volume. The soil should be light and fluffy, so water flies right through it. Pot size. Why a mansion is a death sentence. Typical scenario. You look at this tiny, hopeful sprout and think, I'll buy it a gorgeous 3-gallon planter right now. Let it grow big and strong, and I won't have to repot it. Congratulations, you just killed your plant. Massive pots are why most avocados die in year 1. The roots on a tiny sprout are tiny. They physically cannot drink all the water held in that massive volume of dirt. The unused wet soil goes sour, compacts, and turns into a cold, foul-smelling, never-drying bog. The roots suffocate, rot. The leaves turn black, and the avocado catches the next train to Valhalla. Use a small pot. Taller is better than wider. Avocados have a strong taproot that grows straight down like a carrot. And make sure there are massive drainage holes at the bottom. No holes, no avocado. The don't smother the top rule. Now for the critical moment, planting. Add a good layer of drainage pebbles at the bottom. Toss in our fluffy soil mix, make a little crater, and carefully lower the root in. Now, the golden rule that needs to be carved above your windowsill. Under no circumstances should you bury the whole pit. You must only bury it 2/3 deep. The top, pointy half with the shoot, must haughtily rise above the soil line. Bury the crown, and the damp earth will rot the growing point, ending your farming career on the spot. Lightly pack the dirt, water it, and welcome to adulthood. The honeymoon is over. The nutrients stored in the pit, the ones that fueled that explosive, false hope-inducing start, are gone. Now the plant has to get its own food and survive the harsh realities of your living room. The teenage phase begins, and this is where the vast majority of indoor avocados die. let's break down why our green prince suddenly turns into a suicidal, ugly duckling. Bald fishing pole syndrome and death by darkness. You might notice your avocado frantically stretching upward, dropping its lower leaves. Soon, instead of a lush tree, you have a 3-foot bald pole with 3 sad leaves at the very top. Why? Avocado genetics follow the rule of the tropical canopy. Whoever reaches the sun first survives. Finding itself on your windowsill in November, the plant panics over the lack of light. It spends all its remaining energy on a desperate sprint toward a sun that isn't there. If you don't hang a good grow light over it, the avocado will literally exhaust itself to death, stop growing, get spotty, and die from simple light starvation. The tropical diva and the icy draft. The second most common cause of sudden death is your love for fresh air. It's freezing outside. You decide to air out the room and crack the window for 5 minutes. To you, it's a brisk breeze. To a tropical avocado pampered by indoor heating, it's an icy, Arctic hell. The plant goes into severe temperature shock. Literally the next day, the green leaves might turn black, curl up, and drop to the floor in extreme protest. Avocados cannot handle drafts at all. Crispy tips, the central heating torture. The moment the radiators turn on, your apartment becomes a branch of the Mojave Desert. Avocados are used to tropical humidity, around 70 to 80%, and they're getting a pathetic 20%. The leaf tips are the first to surrender. They turn brown, dry, and brittle, like potato chips. The plant is literally drying alive, even if you water it. Misting it with a spray bottle works for exactly 5 minutes. If you don't put a humidifier nearby, the leaves will crisp up until your plant looks like a science project herbarium. The invisible killer, spider mites, and here is the main beneficiary of dry air. Spider mites love a dry, warm environment and tender avocado leaves. You won't even notice them at first. You'll just see tiny yellow pinpricks on the leaves. They'll start losing color, and if you hold them up to the light, you'll see a super fine webbing near the stem. The mites are just sucking the life juice right out of it. A week or two of inaction, and your avocado is headed for the trash, completely drained by these invisible vampires. All right, we've reached the final boss of our survival game, meat, watering. This is where caring beginners turn into avocado serial killers. Our green friend is a massive water drinker, but it absolutely despises having wet feet. As soon as you start watering on the principle of, well, the top looks dry, let's splash some more in, you sign its death warrant. A cold swamp forms at the bottom of the pot, where the roots instantly suffocate and turn into a rotting mush. The most diabolical part? The avocado dies in silence. The roots can be completely dead, but those massive leaves will proudly stand up for another couple of weeks, pretending everything is totally fine. Then, they suddenly turn black, hang like wet rags, and in a panic, you pour another gallon of water in, finishing off the corpse. How do you stop the cycle of violence? Forget the stick your finger in the dirt method. Get a long wooden skewer, like for BBQ, and stab it into the soil almost all the way to the bottom. Pull it out. If the skewer is damp and has wet mud clinging to it, put the watering can away immediately. You should only water when the soil has dried out at least halfway, and in winter, a good 2/3 down. And remember the golden rule. If your stylish planter does not have massive drainage holes at the bottom for excess water to escape, it's not a pot. It's a very pretty ceramic coffin for your plant. If your avocado survived the watering phase and is happily shooting upward, you're probably looking at it with pure adoration. Now pick up your sharpest scissors, pruning shears, or a machete. We are going to hurt it. Snip, snip. Vandalism for the greater good. Your inner Greenpeace activist will scream and beg you to stop, but you must remain completely ruthless. If you take pity on this tender little shoot now, a year from now you will have a 6-foot green garden hose with 3 giant leaves on top that hits your ceiling and says, well, we're here. In nature, an avocado is a gigantic tree. It genetically does not plan to bush out voluntarily until it punches through the cloud canopy. How do we force it to branch out? We have to chop its head off. Count 6 to 8 healthy, fully formed leaves from the bottom, take a deep breath and mercilessly snip the top off right above the highest leaf. Yes, it feels like a botanical hate crime. The plant will go into shock for a couple of weeks, processing your betrayal. But then, realizing the path to the stratosphere is blocked, it will show some character and wake up its dormant lateral buds. This is exactly how you turn a bald fishing pole into a stylish indoor tree. Just don't forget to pinch off the tips of the new side branches once they grow 4 to 5 leaves of their own. Repotting. Operation Crystal Vase. While the top is recovering from its execution, take a peek at the bottom of your pot. See fat, white roots escaping through the drainage holes and staging a mutiny. It's time to upgrade the real estate. And here lies another trap. Avocado roots only look tough. In reality, they are as fragile as a freshman right before finals week. No aggressive digging or washing under the tap. We only do the slip pot method. Get a pot that is literally just an inch or two wider than the last one you didn't forget how easy it is to make a swamp in a massive tub, right? As gently as humanly possible, pull the entire root ball out intact. Place it in the center of the new pot and just backfill with fresh soil. The plant shouldn't even realize it moved. And there we have it, a beautiful, bushy, repotted tree. Seems like it's time to bust out the tortilla chips and wait for the harvest, right? Not quite. Welcome to the harshest part of the video. So, you've repotted the plant, gave it a trendy haircut, and now you have a beautiful, bushy little tree on your windowsill. You care for it, dust its leaves, and you're already mentally calculating how many pounds of guacamole you'll harvest for the holidays. Now forget everything we just talked about. Welcome to harsh reality, the hachiko of the botanical world. Waiting for a grocery store avocado pit to fruit in an apartment is like waiting for your Hogwarts letter at 30. In the wild, a tree grown from seed flowers for the first time in 10 to 15 years. In the conditions of a standard apartment, without perfect tropical sun, exact humidity, and pollinators, well, maybe your grandkids will see the first bud. Basically, without outside intervention, we are just growing a very pretty, exotic ficus with a massive ego. Cheating the system, becoming a surgeon. But what if you refuse to give up and want fruit at any cost? Then you have to use a legal botanical cheat code, grafting. The beauty is that the little tree you fought so hard to save from mites and radiators is a perfect, rock-solid foundation, the rootstock. It's already adapted to your watering habits and microclimate. But to force it to produce, you need to acquire a scion, a branch from a pedigreed, already fruiting avocado tree. Buy one from a specialized nursery or sneakily snip one at a botanical garden. You ruthlessly chop the head off your wild tree, graft the pedigreed branch onto it, wrap it in tape, and wait. If the surgery is a success, you beat the system. You might see flowers in just 2 to 3 years. Shattering the illusion. Why the grocery store still wins. Feels like victory is near? Already buying the chips? Think again. Let's say the graft takes, and in the spring, your avocado is covered in delicate flowers. You take a makeup brush and, feeling like a majestic bee, carefully hand-pollinate every single bloom. Tiny little fruits appear, you hold your breath, and then you accidentally crack a window for a draft. Or the humidity drops a couple of %, or it's cloudy for a week. The avocado assesses the situation, realizes you are not in Mexico, and with a stone-cold face, drops every single flower and fruit right at your feet. It practically whispers, "Not in this lifetime." So, let's be honest. The odds of harvesting a bucket of avocados in a normal apartment trend heavily towards 0. But has that ever stopped a true enthusiast? But wait, I hear some of you typing in the comments. What if I just plant this thing in my backyard? Well, if you're lucky enough to live in a place where the air doesn't actively hurt your face in January, you might have a shot. But there are 3 massive reality checks you need to pass first. Reality check number 1, the VIP Climate Club. Avocados are strictly tropical divas. They only survive outdoors in USDA hardiness zones 9 through 11. We are looking at you, Southern California, South Texas, Florida, and Hawaii. If you live in Ohio, New York, or anywhere that gets real snow, put the shovel down. One frosty night, and your beloved green prince turns into a tragic avocado popsicle. Reality check number 2, the gamer sunburn. Let's say you live in Miami and want to move your indoor plant outside. You cannot just take a plant that has lived its entire life behind UV-filtered glass and throw it into the scorching July sun. That's like taking a pale gamer who hasn't left his room in 6 months and dropping him in the middle of the Sahara without sunscreen. The leaves will literally bleach white, scorch, and fry to a crisp. You have to harden it off by moving it into deep shade first, gradually introducing it to the sun over a few weeks. Reality check number 3, the squirrel mafia. If it survives the sun and the soil, remember that outside, this cute little houseplant wants to become a 40-foot-tall monster tree. And even if you win the genetic lottery and it starts producing fruit a decade from now, you are going to face the ultimate final boss, the local wildlife. There is nothing more heartbreaking than waiting 10 years for your very first homegrown avocado, only to watch a neighborhood squirrel take exactly one bite out of it and throw it on the ground just to mock you. So, yes, plant it outside if your zone allows it. Just prepare for a turf war. But honestly, if you live in one of these lucky zones and you actually want to eat avocados before you retire, here is my absolute best advice. Keep the seed indoors for decoration and go to your local nursery. Here is the dirty little secret about planting grocery store seeds. You are playing the botanical genetic lottery. Since avocados cross-pollinate, the seed from a delicious Hass avocado will almost never grow into a Hass tree. You might wait 10 agonizing years, fight off the squirrels, and finally harvest a fruit, only to discover it's a watery, stringy green golf ball that tastes like wet cardboard. Don't waste a decade of your life. Drop $50 to $100 at a local garden center and buy a grafted tree. A grafted tree already has the exact genetics of a proven, delicious variety and the biological age to start producing fruit in just 2 or 3 years. Save the toothpick and water experiments for your living room aesthetic and let the nursery handle your backyard guacamole supply. And now for the segment sponsored by the manufacturers of watering cans and oversized pots. The Blitz Roast, 7 guaranteed ways to assassinate your avocado in record time. Let's go. Waterboarding. Watering every single day because the top looks a little dry? Congrats, you're a serial killer. The roots can't swim, they suffocate, rot, and turn into smelly mashed potatoes. Life in the shadows. Put the pot in a dark corner because it looks cute right there. The avocado will assume it's trapped in a basement, stretch into a pale 3-foot fishing pole with 3 leaves on top, and die of seasonal depression. The mansion trap. Planted a tiny sprout directly into a 5-gallon bucket so you don't have to repot it as often? The roots can't drink the water fast enough, the soil goes sour, and your plant catches the express train to Valhalla. Death by suffocation. Bought a gorgeous ceramic pot with 0 drainage holes, or only put a 1/4 inch of pebbles at the bottom? Without proper drainage, even perfect watering turns the pot into a toxic bog. The Hunger Games. Haven't changed the soil or fertilized it in years? The pit is long empty, the soil is dead. The avocado stares at you with silent judgment, turns yellow, and drops its leaves. Fear of scissors. Too scared to chop off the top of your cute little baby plant? Don't come crying to me when you have a naked, 6-foot pole hitting your ceiling in the corner of your room. Naive optimism, expecting a massive harvest for guacamole by year 2, just because you put a pit in the dirt. That's the biggest mistake of all. Growing a tree is one thing. Forcing it to fruit in a living room is an entirely different, nearly impossible story. All right, now you know the ugly truth. I propose we start the Avocado Hunger Games. Here is your challenge for the weekend. Go buy 5 perfect Hass avocados. Mash them up into a massive bowl of guacamole. Because let's be real, you won't be harvesting your own anytime soon. And send those 5 pits to a ruthless casting call. Plant them in light, airy soil with plenty of perlite, and may the odds be ever in their favor. Pick the strongest champion, ruthlessly chop off its top for a lush canopy, and enjoy your own personal reality show over the next few years. Now let's be honest. Hit the comments and tell me how many innocent avocados you've already sent to the compost bin in the sky. And how tall is your sole survivor? This is a safe space, no judgment here. Hit that like button if this video saved at least one pit in your kitchen. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. May your roots be healthy and your leaves be green. Bye.